Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Fired FBI Director James Comey about to go public. ABC News learns when the former FBI director could now testify and what he's willing to talk about involving President Trump. Pierre Thomas with late details. Crossing the line, the outrage tonight over comedian Kathy Griffin and that gruesome image. Tonight, CNN fires her, performance is canceled, and the First Lady Melania Trump weighing in. The emergency on board, heavily armed police taking down a passenger accused of rushing the cockpit, claiming to have explosives. The deadly shootout inside an American car dealership. Two bounty hunters find their fugitive. He's armed. How this ends. And LeBron James, the racial slur sprayed across his home. What he said just moments ago about race in America. And America Strong tonight, Diane Sawyer returns to a place so many of you will remember, and the victory you made happen.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Wednesday night. And we begin with the headline late today. Former FBI Director James Comey will testify before the American people, likely in the coming days, about his interactions with President Trump. The special counsel now leading the Russia investigation, Robert Mueller, is not objecting to James Comey's appearance. Sources telling ABC News Comey is willing to talk about the time he spent one-on-one with the president. Congress wants to know, did the president demand loyalty? Did he ask Comey to go easy on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn? ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leading us off with what he's learned tonight.
ABC News has learned one of the most dramatic congressional hearings in recent times could come as early as next week, with former FBI Director James Comey breaking his silence, testifying in open session before the American people about President Trump and those memos Comey kept after his meetings with the president. Those sources telling ABC News that so far special counsel Robert Mueller has not objected to Comey testifying, provided that he does not discuss evidence in the investigation into Russian meddling. What Comey is likely to talk about is President Trump. According to sources familiar with his thinking, Comey wants to be transparent and will respond to questions about his relationship with the president, and more importantly, those private meetings, the dinner, the phone calls. The president once joking about Comey, he's become more famous than me. Senators specifically want to know if the president saw the pledge of loyalty from Comey early on, and if the fired FBI director was pressured to go easy on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Comey supporters have been fuming, angry at the president after he allegedly called Comey a nut job to Russian officials visiting the Oval Office. Soon, Comey is expected to have his say.
And Pierre Thomas with us live tonight. And Pierre, you've also learned the House Intelligence Committee has now issued subpoenas as part of their investigation.
David, that's right. The congressional investigations continue to expand, the committee issuing 7 subpoenas, including to 2 men with close ties to President Trump. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, forced out after just 24 days on the job, and Michael Cohen, Trump's friend and personal attorney. David?
Pierre Thomas live in Washington leading us off tonight, Pierre. Thank you. Next this evening, outrage from all sides after that video of comedian Kathy Griffin and that gruesome image. Today, CNN firing her and the First Lady Melania Trump adding her voice to the legions who say this is more than just crossing the line. It was downright disturbing. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Tom Yamas.
My name is Kathy Griffin.
Tonight, comedian Kathy Griffin is out of a job because of this disturbing image depicting the president decapitated.
We have to move to Mexico today because we're going to get federal president.
Yeah. The president tweeting, "My children, especially my 11-year-old son Barron, are having a hard time with this. Sick." And First Lady Melania Trump saying, "As a mother, a wife, and a human being, that photo is very disturbing." Griffin ultimately apologized.
I sincerely apologize. I'm a comic. I crossed the line. I moved the line, then I cross it. I went way too far.
But that apology apparently not enough for CNN, the cable news network terminating her contract to host New Year's Eve duties. And today, Chelsea Clinton condemning the stunt.
Yeah. I would hope that we can at least agree that it's never funny to joke about violence toward anyone.
And Tom Yamas with us live tonight. Tom, now the Secret Service continues its investigation.
They are, David, and they are not happy about this. Writing in a statement, each alleged or perceived threat has to be investigated thoroughly, which taxes the Secret Service's manpower and resources that could be utilized elsewhere. David?
Tom Llamas with us tonight. Tom, thank you. President Trump, meanwhile, expected to make a key decision very soon, one watched closely on Capitol Hill and really across the world, even the Pope waiting to see what the president will do. He's about to decide whether the U.S. will remain part of the Paris Climate Agreement, fighting climate change. But is he already leaning in one direction? What ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has learned tonight.
President Trump today said he's close to making that much-anticipated decision.
Decision on the Paris Climate Deal, Mr. President. Are you close?
Very soon.
Are you leaning towards getting out?
You're going to find out very soon.
But behind the scenes, sources tell ABC News the president is likely to pull out of the landmark deal. Inside the White House, feverish last-minute negotiations on both sides. Chief strategist Steve Bannon pushing for withdrawal, along with 22 Republican senators. Daughter Ivanka pushing to stay in the deal. Big names like Apple's Tim Cook and Tesla's Elon Musk calling to lobby President Trump too. Musk threatening to resign from White House advisory councils if the president backs out of the deal.
A lot of it's a hoax.
That was President Trump on global warming during the campaign.
It's a money-making industry, okay?
Aides now say his views are evolving. If the U.S. withdraws from the climate accord, it would join the company of Nicaragua and Syria, which haven't signed, and create yet a new test for already strained relations with Germany's Angela Merkel and France's Emmanuel Macron. But tonight, the president seems poised to dismiss the advice of even the Pope to make good on that campaign promise.
We're going to cancel the Paris Climate Agreement.
So let's get to Cecilia Vega with us live tonight from the White House. Cecilia, when do we expect a decision?
Well, the president today, David, said that it could happen very soon, but the behind-the-scenes lobbying is fierce right now. David, one environmental group tells me that they called the White House 30,000 times this afternoon alone.
The lobbying on both sides tonight. Cecilia Vega, our thanks to you. And next to the images coming in after a terrifying incident on board a passenger plane just after takeoff from Melbourne, Australia. A man rushing the cockpit claiming to have a bomb. Here's ABC's David Curley.
Australian airport security, heavily armed, quickly carrying the hogtied passenger off the jetliner. A dramatic end to a short flight. Just after takeoff from Melbourne, the Malaysian Airlines crew tells the captain a passenger is trying to breach the cockpit door as the pilot recounted to controllers.
Claiming to have an explosive device, trying to enter the cockpit, has been overpowered by passengers, so we'd like to land and have the device checked out.
That device, apparently some kind of power pack. A half hour after taking off, the jet is back in Melbourne with security officers barking commands to passengers.
Everyone in the seats. Put your heads down.
Police suggest the suspect has a history of mental illness.
Passengers are being put up for the night and will continue their flight to Malaysia tomorrow. David?
David Curley with us tonight. Thank you, David. Another disturbing moment that led to an emergency landing here at home in Grand Rapids, Michigan. A JetBlue flight from New York to San Francisco diverted after a passenger smelled smoke. The flight crew then traced the smell to a smoking carry-on bag, an electronic device inside it with a charred lithium-ion battery. As you know, we have reported here on concerns over those batteries. The plane eventually continued on to San Francisco. Overseas tonight into Afghanistan, one of the worst attacks in years, and it comes just as President Trump decides whether to send more U.S. troops. A devastating suicide truck bombing in Kabul. The moment was captured on an office surveillance camera. The rush hour blast killing at least 90 people, more than 400 injured, including several Americans. Here's ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz tonight.
The death toll was so large, the destruction so vast, that even for this country at war for well over a decade, the loss was staggering. In the early morning hours, the massive truck bomb ripping through what is supposed to be one of the most secure parts of Kabul. The moment captured here from inside an office building. The blast so powerful it shattered windows a mile away. Buildings were leveled, bodies scattered, cars incinerated. There are people inside the car still alive, this man yelled, but the door is stuck. Among the wounded, diplomats. This is the German embassy, heavily damaged. 11 American contractors at a former U.S. military facility nearby also hurt, but not seriously. No one claimed responsibility, but the Afghan government strongly suspects the Taliban, despite the group's denials they had anything to do with it.
And Martha Raddatz with us tonight. Martha, you mentioned those minor injuries of the Americans at a nearby U.S. military base. I know you've spent a lot of time there, and we pointed out at the top that this comes as President Trump now considers whether to send more troops to Afghanistan.
Exactly, David. The Pentagon has drafted a number of proposals which could mean several thousand additional troops, adding to the more than 8,000 already there. David?
All right, Martha Raddatz with us tonight. Thank you, Martha. Next tonight, new images of that groundbreaking U.S. anti-missile test, a mock long-range missile launched from an island in the Pacific. 4,000 miles away in California, the Interceptor rocket emerging from an underground silo, roaring into space. Within an hour, the Interceptor destroying that missile. That test, of course, comes as North Korea now warns it is working on an intercontinental ballistic missile that they say could reach the United States. Next tonight to LeBron James. Speaking out just a short time ago, police say a racist slur was spray painted across his home. James, who is now preparing for the NBA Finals, talking about his family and about race in America. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
On the eve of Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Cleveland Cavaliers star LeBron James is speaking out about vandalism at his LA home.
My family is safe. At the end of the day, they're safe, and that's the most important.
The front gate spray painted with the N-word.
Racism will always be a part of the world, a part of America. You know, hate, in America, especially for African American, is living every day.
The graffiti on LeBron's $20 million Brentwood estate has since been covered up.
No matter how many people admire you, being black in America is tough, and we got a long way to go. For us as a society and for us as African Americans until we feel equal in America.
The LAPD is investigating the incident as an act of vandalism and a possible hate crime. They also have reason to believe that the entire incident may have been captured on surveillance video. David?
Lindsay Davis with us. Thank you, Lindsay. Next this evening, two never-before-seen images, and they are difficult. Inside the massacre at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Body cam images from the police who bravely rushed into the darkened club, climbing through a broken window, not knowing what they would find. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross with what they saw, what they heard, and tonight right here, exclusive interviews with those brave officers.
This is what Orlando police officers saw and heard as they raced inside the Pulse nightclub. The body cam videos capturing the urgency of the hunt for the active shooter.
I see shadows moving in here.
Yeah. Officers unable to tell who was hiding in the darkness, a victim or a shooter.
Show us the heads.
I got his hands. Please help. Kid, come out.
All right, come on. We're police, man.
This video comes from the body cam worn by Officer Graham Cage.
Right when we were about to go in, we're still hearing shots.
And there's the haunting sound of the victim's cell phones ringing unanswered.
And I mean multiple phones, just laying in pools of blood. Knowing that it's somebody's loved one trying to get a hold of their loved one.
Keep coming.
As the club patrons who survived raced for safety outside, the shooter, 29-year-old Omar Mateen, retreats to a back bathroom, holding hostages, and calls 911 to say he has bombs.
I'll tell you this, it can take out a whole city block almost.
Police are advised to pull back.
Just so you guys know, in the building, you may not want to stay there.
But not a single officer retreats. Then the final breach. Mateen comes out shooting. One officer is hit in the helmet.
Probably within an inch of losing his life, and the other officers there returned fire, killing the suspect.
No question the bravery of these officers. Brian with us now. But after the shooting, there were questions raised about the timing of the whole response and whether or not there was any way officers could get in there more quickly. What does this reveal?
Well, these videos do shed incredible courage of these officers on the scene. The gunfire stopped after about 10 minutes, but then the shooter was holding hostages, and the officers say they had to proceed with caution to make sure the hostages did not get killed.
Such care taken on that evening, Brian. Thank you. And much more from inside the Pulse nightclub, Terror, and from Brian on a special edition of Nightline that, of course, later tonight here on ABC. In the meantime, there is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Wednesday. The deadly shootout inside an American car dealership. You're about to see it. Two bounty hunters finding their fugitive right here but he turns out he's armed. Gunfire erupting, customers and employees running for cover. Also ahead, new images of Tiger Woods and the incident the moment his car was discovered, and now the dash cam video has just been released moments ago. You will see it. And the highway inferno, the fuel tanker truck exploding into flames, hundreds of drivers stuck in traffic today. Much more ahead.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Introducing Otezla, apremilast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. Some people who took Otezla saw 75% clearer skin after 4 months. And Otezla's prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't take Otezla if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. Otezla may increase the risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings